Then the second pillar when it comes to your environment is are your finances. Listen, poker is not there to solve your financial problems. If you have financial problems, that's gonna be a big pain for you sooner or later. You want to play poker when you're in a financially comfortable situation, which you might not be in, but you can work you towards being financially comfortable. And I'm talking about not being in debt or not trying to, get some money so you can buy that luxurious watch. So when you're in a situation where you might save up some money, do that first. Have a financial plan. I mean, if I want to speak about it, I probably have to make separate videos on depending where you live. If you live in Switzerland, 6-7K might be already like the minimum that you need per month. If you live in a, Southern American country or Eastern European country, then of course the requirements for living, you need less money. It's just as it is. It's a fact. I'm not trying to be racist, but that's just pure facts. No way around it, right? So the living costs are going to be changing tremendously. So you need to first check for yourself, what is the minimum amount of money that I need for rent, for food, extra expenses, and so on and so forth. How much money do you have at hand? Is it like, do you have an additional 1K, 2K, 5K that you can take and just purely take it for poker? That's the money that you can have as your bankroll, right? Again, you might still want to have some extra money that you want to save up in case something happens. You have to be incredible, responsible, and diligent with your money. All right, plan it for years. Like, okay, even if it's $100 box, then you start with 50-cent limits or $1 limits. Around 100, 200 buy-ins. I probably make a separate video on bankroll management, and you find enough information around bankroll management. Long story short, you want to have saved up enough money so you can also endure downswing. You don't want to have a $100 bankroll and then play $50 tournaments. You want to be able to endure a downswing that even can go multiple weeks and you're not going broke. Or at least, even if you lose your bankroll, it's not going to be crushing your life. And also be very responsibility if you hit an upswing right away. Oh my God, I have heard stories. It's crazy when people score something for $300, $400 and then they start playing $20 limits and increase their buy-ins by 20 times. So this is something you don't want to do. Whenever you start out, make a very thorough plan. What stakes are you going to play? What is your limit? I would always recommend, if you have $100 at your disposal, start with 50-cent tournaments. You just grind them, $1 tournaments, even some free rolls. And please do not move up in stakes, since tournament poker is very heavy in variance. If you bink a tournament that you think, oh, now I can move up. Wait at least 1,000, better 2,000 tournaments. And if you have a positive win rate, and I'm talking about at least 10%, 15% ROI, then move up to $2 to $5 tournaments. Yes, this sounds very slow, but especially the first couple of months. It's really just about getting into that kind of like full-time grind. Of course, you can use that information on my tips also if you want to play on the side. Bankroll management is the most important thing when it comes to playing poker, because even if your mindset is dog shit, at least your bankroll management will allow you not to go broke. If you have a good mindset, but you have a bad bankroll management, it's going to backfire a lot. So I would always recommend start with 100 buy-in bankroll management. Don't try to play a lot of hyper and turbo tournaments. Play the normal freeze out, non-PKO, just to learn the game, get into it, get familiar with pre-flop ranges, maybe play 1 or 2 tables, 3 tables. It really depends where you are, right? You might be already at a level where you grind mid stakes and you just want to have a few takeaways because you struggle making this step towards becoming a full-time pro. Maybe you have neglected this number one rule of having your family on your side, or at least speaking to your closer circle of friends and family. So here, not everything might be applying for you, but that's totally okay. Move forward, speed up the YouTube video. Probably most of you guys are doing it anyway, but I would always recommend 100 to 200 better 200 buy-in limits or bankroll management, and then you set yourself some stop loss. So let's say if you play, you have $200 and you start with $2 tournaments, that you say, okay, if you reach the $100 limit, you go down to $1 limits, right? So you maintain that 100 buy-in limit. So whenever you reach the new 100 buy-in limit, then you move down in stakes. And it's very important to get in a good sample size on the current stakes you're playing, that it really shows, hey, you're beating it. You can use SharkScope or tracker programs where you can track your results. Very important. I'm going to be talking about this in a few minutes. I'm not going too deep into the softwares and how they're being utilized. There are a lot of tutorials, and I can make a separate video on that, but you need a couple of programs that you need to set up in order to be able to track your results, to also track your hands so you can study with them. And ideally, the bankroll management can really just seen as an investment. If you invest money into stocks, unless you sell it, you have no access to it. It should not conflict your daily expenses, monthly expenses. It should not put you, oh my God, now if I don't do well this month, then I might have a difficult time to pay your rent. And if it's that case, then you have to wait longer. You have to wait longer in order to save up more money, so you put yourself in a very comfortable situation. Again, poker is not for solving your financial problems. If you intend to go pro, if you just want to play for fun and you just want to, blow off $5, $10 or whatever you can afford, that's up to you, right? This is not the point of this video. I'm talking here about professionals, and I've seen a lot of big blunders when people are trying to go pro, and then it's like, yeah, I'm just going to take a couple of $100, spin it up, and then I will turn pro. Usually it doesn't work out. You will have these, superstars here and there, like Victor Blom. You think you can just go and grind low stakes, mid stakes, and someday you will end up being high stakes without studying a lot. I mean, this guy is just a prodigy. So please, please, please don't think you're going to be the same. No, you're not. And take it very responsible. Usually I would plan at least a year that you really learn the game, you play full time until you can expect, and this is a very vague estimation, until you can make a living out of it. Usually I would plan for around 2 years, where you have reached certain stakes. Go with 1.5 to 2 years. I remember back then for me with grinding sit and goes, it took a year from day one, but I also had some poker experience before that. Starting with $1 sit and goes, where I've reached the mid stakes, where I could, withdraw 1K, 2K a month, where I could cover my basic expenses. I wouldn't need to have a day job or side job next to my studying, and I was being able to provide myself. This is, of course, can vary. I have met poker players who achieved this after 6, 7, 8 months, but this is the rarity, or this is very rare. Usually I would plan with around 2 years. But again, this is this time when I've seen people were trying for 3, 4, 5 years. I mean, it really depends on how well you run as well. Variance comes into play. So don't be like, okay, in 1 year I'm going to be pro. I think having 1 year, saving up for 1 year, giving it a try, seeing where it goes, and even if you lose the bankroll, it doesn't affect or doesn't impact your journey outside of poker. So that's very important, and then I think you can give it a try. I don't want to get too deep into it, but of course you want to approach it from a very holistic standpoint. Having a workout plan, taking care of your mindset, ideally meditating or journaling, like being able to reflect on things, setting up goals, reflecting every month. I wouldn't do it. It's not supposed to take hours every day, 5 to 10 minutes every day, or you do it 3, 4 times a week, 5 to 15 minutes every day. Start slow, build this habit. Don't try, I'm going to be meditating 1 hour a day and I'm going to be running 15 kilometers and then I'm only going to be eating green beans and I'm never going to be touching alcohol. I'm going to be stop smoking. Yeah, this is set up for failure. Start slow, my friend. And then from month to month, maybe you can increase the intensity of your workouts or the duration of your meditations. This is really, of course, stuff you need to take into consideration outside of poker. I would call these the soft skills, right? How well you're able to cope with the bad runs, also the good runs. This can also lead to tilt, that you get too overconfident, you stop studying. Set up some rules. I really like when I have a winning session and I review my 10 hands, I always review 15 hands. It's a very good trick to have these standards in play. And I'm not like, oh, but today I feel good. Like I will. No, this is my rule. This is non-negotiable. And these are just small rules. It's not like it's going to take me forever where I'm really not going to have time for this. This is non-negotiable, and you should set up non-negotiable rules for yourself. I have like working out at least 3 times, ideally 4 to 5 times a week. I meditate every day, at least 5 minutes. Even if it's a busy day, I will have those 5 minutes. So just to reflect, to reset, to be really here. And I would have in your shoes, and I would recommend that you have 3-4 smaller routines that you can do on a daily basis or every second day to help you also manifest a strong mindset. And then, of course, eating clean, sleeping well. I mean, there are enough videos and tips on that. I'm not going to get too deep onto that. It will all impact on your performance, and then you will see where it goes. Now let's